What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my public YouTube channel. Now, what exactly is our topic for today's video? I'm going to be speaking about, by popular demand, Sam Smith's performance at the 2023 Grammys, where he performed the song which is known as Unholy. And for some of you, which I'm sure most of you have heard of or have seen yourself, you clearly know there's a lot of occult symbolism that is embedded within that performance, but I'm sure a good portion of you that are here right now may not fully understand exactly what that symbolism was and what it was representing. So as a professional occultist, this is exactly what I'm going to be covering in very much depth. So if this is something that intrigues you and you want to know a little bit more about, you simply have one thing to do, and that is simply to stay tuned. All right, let me first start with introducing myself just in case you don't know who I am. My name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I am fully initiated in the entirety of the Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot deck. And I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in direct association with astrology. All right? So with that being said, let's move right into it. So Sam Smith's performance of the song Unholy. All right. I don't really know too much about Sam Smith because I'm not really in that field of the entertainment industry. I don't really listen to too many artists. I don't really listen to music these days at all. I'm more so focused on studying, looking into myself, things of that nature. So I don't know too much about Sam Smith, but I did my research on who Sam Smith was, generally speaking. And he has a song called Unholy. I looked at the music video. And then I looked at the performance at the Grammys, and I can clearly see why a lot of people want me to make a video on this subject, because once again, being a professional occultist, I see a lot of symbolism that people don't necessarily recognize, and even if people see it, they don't fully understand what they're looking at. They don't know what it actually is designed to manifest or what it's designed to do to the subconscious mind. So these are things that I'm just very naturally gifted at understanding, and I study it on top of that. So that is what I'm going to be covering, and I once again can see the reason why people want me to cover this Grammys performance, because it had a lot of occult symbolism embedded within it, considering the fact that Sam himself was literally like the archetype of Satan. Okay? So let's go into it. So let's start like right off the bat. So the song is called Unholy, okay? So of course, this is a strategically designed song with strategically incorporated artists that are meant to perform this song. And it's called Unholy, so it already has a darker vibe to it, a darker energy behind it. It has a negatively polarized influence, which is behind it. I mean, what is what is holy, okay? Holy is being wholly a part of service to others, the positive polarity. Spreading the message of the source through unity with others. Unholy is spreading a different type of source influence, where you are more so breaking down and causing catalysts to destroy things, but in that destruction, there is an opportunity to better understand the self, therefore reach the source, okay, through that destructive energy, all right? So right off the bat, what we see within the music video is we see Sam, who is dressed as the devil, okay? He's wearing all red, and then there are a bunch of women around him that are also dressed in red, okay? Then you notice in the background of the performance, they have this like this screen that it's like an artificial screen that puts up these images on the screen, that are in correspondence with what's happening in the music video. So in the beginning of the live performance, there's flames and there's fire on this screen that's shooting up in the air. At least I think this was on the screen. I don't think that this was real fire. But there is definitely this big like artificial screen in the background of this performance, and it has all these flames on it and things in that nature. So what does that mean? What is this all representing? So we have red and we have flames. Let's first cover this topic, because a lot of the times when you look at symbolism that's dealing with Satan or the devil, you're seeing the color red show up a lot. You're seeing fire and you're seeing flames. Oftentimes, if you even think within your mind's eye, what does hell look like to you? You oftentimes think of a place that's on fire. Okay, so why is that? Why is this embedded within the unconscious of your pretty much everyday person? The reason why that is because there's some deep, nuanced reasons why these symbols are associated with Satanism and why it's connected to the devil and to the negative polarity as a whole. So, and it goes back to the elements, okay? We have the elements north, east, south, and west. Earth, fire, water, and air, okay? Fire is always associated with red, okay? The red symbolism has a big connection to the element of fire. That's why we literally see flames shooting up in the background of this performance. So what does fire mean? Fire as an element represents active energy. It represents energy and movements, and it's associated with an initiatory energy. So whenever you're dealing with flames, we're dealing with energy which is in movement, which is an aspect of sexual energy, which is a energy that runs through everyone. Everyone carries sexual energy. So when the element of fire appears, it's almost, you could think of it like a stimulant or stimulation to the sexual energy that's within everyone, stimulating it through the unconscious mind. So this is most oftentimes a unconscious and subconscious thing that takes place to heighten sexual energy. But there's also another component to the element of fire, which is very important to understand, which is its destructive properties. So fire, as you know, can literally burn down things and destroy things. So fire as an element has that component where it's a burning away of things that are no longer supposed to be there as a form of purging, evolutionary purging, to create space for something new. So yes, the burning process is uncomfortable and oftentimes not fun to experience, especially, for example, if it was your house or something valuable to you. But in the long run, things don't happen for no reason. So there's a reason why something had to burn down to then create space for something new to initiate itself, some new form of active energy. So if you have the right perspective, you can actually see that the element of fire, although it can be very uncomfortable, not all the times, but it can be very uncomfortable, it's very prominent for spirit and soul evolution. It's very important. So the reason why the element of fire and the color red is directly associated with Satan or the devil archetype is because for individuals who assume the role of the negative polarity, which is service to self, to serve the source within the self, rather than serving others as the source without anything in need for return, but serving the self as the source, both paths are serving the source. They're just serving the source in different ways. So once again, for the individuals who choose service to self, the negative polarity, fire in its destructive quality is a big part of our evolutionary reason for existing on this planet. We are the adversary to the human species. We are the adversary to humanity, challenging and burning away weaknesses within the human species, okay? We find the trigger points and we find the weak spots within your mindset, your belief system, your ideas, your habits, and your relationships, and we focus on those things, and we force you to become aware of them, which, yes, clearly is an uncomfortable process, and not everyone goes through that process properly, but at the end of the day, that is the responsibility of the human being to grasp the lesson, and that is what we bring to the table. We bring those harsh destructive lessons to the forefront of the human species. That is why the element of fire is directly connected to the adversary or the Satan archetype. So with Sam being dressed up as Satan in his performance, he is the representation of the negative polarity. With the red colorway he's wearing, with the flames in the background, with everyone else wearing red, that is symbolic of the element of fire, and the blood moon, okay, which also connects back to the Scarlet Woman back in the Babylonian times, and also connects into the fifth sphere on the Kabbalistic tree, which is known as Gavura, which is ruled by Mars. So once again, taking it one step at a time so we can uncover the symbolism. The red connected to the element of fire, also connected to the Scarlet Woman and the blood moon. That's the connection between the Scarlet Woman and the red and the blood moon. So what does that mean? Clearly, the moon has a powerful effect on everyone's psyche, on everyone's consciousness. Even in traditional astrology and ancient astrology, even the most ancient forms of Eastern astrology, there are many astrologers who spend more time focusing on the placement of your moon in your birth chart over anything else. That's how powerful the moon is in someone's life. So typically the most important aspects you look at in astrology is the ascendant, the sun, and the moon. And as I said, the moon is so significant. Some very professional astrologers spend more time focusing on the moon over the other two, okay? So the moon plays a massive role on everyone's psyche. No one can escape that. The moon represents the emotions. It represents the way you feel. It can represent your mother. It represents your unconscious, subconscious mind. And it represents your psyche. And it also governs cycles. Okay, just like the moon goes through cycles, like very consistent cycles, as human beings, we go through these same cycles microcosmically, just like the moon does, whether you're conscious of it or not. So the cycle of the blood moon being connected to the Scarlet Woman, being connected to the fact that everyone in this Grammys performance is wearing red. Think of it like this. When a woman is going through her cycles and she's in the phase of her cycle where there's a lot of blood, what typically is the emotional state of the woman when she's in her period cycle? Okay? She's typically a little bit more emotional. This is a negative phase. This is a more destructive phase. It's a breaking down phase. And then when the cycle ends, it's more of a rebirthing phase. It's things are feeling better now. Things are a little bit more controlled. Things are starting to expand more. And then when the blood phase comes, the blood moon, the Scarlet Woman archetype, it's the negative phase. It's the going inwards phase. It's the breaking down. It's the flowing out, okay? So when we're talking about the red symbolism connected to the blood moon, this is a negative charged phase that they're connecting into by wearing all the red colorway that they are within this live performance. It connects into the blood moon, okay? So with that being said, that is just right out the gate a lot of symbolism that is thrown right out there, okay? The element of fire, the blood moon, Sam representing the archetype of Satan, which is the essence of the adversary, the essence of the negative polarity. And then we have, as I said, the connection with, if you actually look at the performance, you'll see that Sam starts off the performance standing in a sphere, okay? The sphere, the circle, is associated with the spheres on the tree of life. And of course, with all the red colorway, all the red symbolism you see, that's linking us into the red sphere on the Kabbalistic tree. And the red sphere is traditionally known as Gavura, which is ruled by Mars and is one of the most violent and challenging spheres to experience and go through. I can speak from personal experience. I've been through it. I know exactly what it's like going through that sphere on the Sephiroth as well as the Qliphoth, and I can attest it is extremely challenging. It is one of the hardest experiences on that entire tree. But in ancient Kabbalah, it was said that it's through the sphere of Gavura, which is on the left pillar of the Kabbalistic tree, the one red pillar. Let me see if I have my tree with me. 1 second, I'll pull it out. Here we go. So this is the Kabbalistic tree, and this is the red sphere on the black negative pillar, the feminine pillar. Okay, just so you can have some awareness of what that is. It's known in ancient Kabbalah that it's through the sphere of Gevurah where the access points and the doorways, energetically speaking, can start to open up to bring you into the other side. So there's a lot of study when it comes to the Kabbalistic tree, and there seems to be a few entrance points that start to come about when someone is resonating with the tree of death more so than the tree of life. And one of those openings starts in the sphere of Gevurah because of its nature, because of the aggression, the anger, the warfare, the arguments, and the intensity that's associated with Mars, and with that sphere itself can set out the parameters for someone to start moving towards the negative polarity. And I can, once again, speak from personal experience. I've dealt with a lot of people that have been pursuing the tree of life up until the point where they got to the sphere of Gevurah, and then their minds started shifting more so towards wanting to be service to self, wanting to be looking at themselves as the source rather than seeing the source in others more so than the self. Okay? So the reason why we're looking at Sam and his performance and that sphere with all of them wearing red, that's connecting us to the ancient symbolism of Gevurah being the access point to the negative polarity. So that entire performance is extremely ritualistic in that way. All right. So just to recap on all the symbolism that we have so far, we have Sam as the archetype of the devil. We have the red symbolism with the blood moon and the scarlet woman, as well as the element of fire, and also connecting to the red sphere on the Kabbalistic tree known as Gevurah. All right. The song is unholy as well. That's just right out the gate. But in the beginning also, to get more nuance with this, you'll see, if you actually watch the performance, you'll see that there's a group of women. I didn't count the women. I'm sure it's probably 11 women, but I'm not 100% sure. Probably around 11 or 13 women that are surrounding Sam. I would assume it's probably 11, or it's either these numbers. I would think it's either 8, 11, or 13. But long story short, there are these women surrounding Sam as he's standing in the sphere of Gevurah, and you'll see that they're moving in a counterclockwise position. They're all circled around each other like witches, and they're all women. So the women, remember, being connected to the negative charge, the feminine pillar on the Kabbalistic tree, that's the negative pillar. So women inherently, just by their biological nature, carry a stronger negative charge than what men do. Doesn't mean that all women are on the negative polarity. That's a conscious choice that someone has to make. But just biologically speaking, women are closer to the negative charge. They have a stronger association and a relationship with the negative charge rather than men. Men having a biological stronger connection to the positive charge. All right? So the women being associated with the negative pillar on the tree, the feminine pillar, and they're moving in a counterclockwise position the same way that witches move in a circle as they hold hands and create a torsion field or create a negative vortex. Okay, so like if you study ancient texts based on Druidism, witches, Sabbats, you'll typically see there, in ancient practice with specific, whether it's male or female, there's been known to be witches that would gather together in circles, hold hands, and move in a circle, whether that be clockwise or counterclockwise. So this is exactly what's taking place in Sam's performance with all the women surrounding him, except they're moving specifically in a counterclockwise direction, which is the negative direction. It's the backwards direction compared to the clockwise. So this would be the catabolic direction. This would be the magnetic vortex, the vortex that sucks inwards rather than the clockwise, which sends outwards or gives. Okay? So that's a very vampiric type of ritual that they're creating when those women are surrounding Sam And they're creating, you could think of it like a big energetic magnet that is sucking in to where Sam is standing. And if Sam is representing the archetype of the Satan figure, then it's what this ritual is really doing is taking the energy from everyone observing it on TV in live performance, and it's sucking all the energy into the archetype of the negative polarity. So everyone who's negatively polarized just received power from this Grammys performance by Sam. So thank you very much, Sam. Now, once again, there are very few people that are actually consciously negatively polarized that are going to benefit from this ritual, because you have to really be tuned in to what's taking place and what's happening. And I know that there's a lot of people that study from me, especially the people that follow me on Patreon, that are really taking their practice to that degree. So congratulations. So yeah, even with that negative spin, that counterclockwise spin that you see happen early on, that's the same spin that I use for my vampire service when it comes to the tier number 3 of my Patreon, where I program the vampiric energy structure into the participants. When I go to do that, and when I do the visualization, and when I actually trace it out into the energy field, I make sure to put that negative spin. Because once again, as vampires, we suck in energy. We are the black holes that are existing on the planet. That is our microscopic energy field, is a black hole, okay? And that's how we suck things in, and we process them, transmute them into power, while also breaking down and catalyzing our environment to create space for the environment to purge or to clean or to grow, all right? So that is, once again, what is taking place early on within the performance, okay? Now, I'm just gonna cover one more thing because I think I covered enough in this video, and I don't wanna go too long, but the next thing, you know, you have the other woman who's in the song. I don't remember her name, but there's another person in the song besides Sam, and she's kind of like in a cage, and then you see these other women that are dressed very like satanic and very devilish. And all that's representing is the structure of, one, we could say the matrix, because the negative polarity controls the matrix. That is our evolutionary role, is to make sure that a matrix exists on this planet and to make sure we are in full control of it, which we always are, and to structure it properly so that it creates the right amount of resistance for humanity. So that that cage could be an archetypal representation of the matrix. And that's simply due to the fact that the cage is connected to Saturnian energy, okay, which is the highest sphere on the negative pillar on the tree of life, is the sphere of Binah, which is the sphere of Saturn. So that cage symbolism is an archetypal representation of the planetary energy of Saturn, which once again has its connections to Satan, Saturn, Satan, okay? And I've got a whole other video on my YouTube channel that goes into the description of the connection between Baphomet and Satan as well. Or excuse me, Baphomet and Saturn, which does connect Baphomet and Satan as well. But this is the worship of Saturn, okay? The cage, the box, the matrix, but also gives you the opportunity to learn those hard lessons and gives you a chance to actually understand why the matrix exists and how you can move through it and use it to your advantage, using the matrix as a tool, okay? So with that being said, these are the general symbols that are showing up within this live performance, Unholy, and this is what it's actually representing. This is what it's actually doing. This performance is worship of the negative polarity. It is worship of the matrix and the fact that the matrix exists. And remember, we are beyond good and evil here, okay? You're not going to get that from my YouTube channel. So when you see these types of performances, this is not an evil thing. This is just a part of life. This is a part of how evolution functions, no matter what path you're on. But specifically, if you're on the negative polarity and you're doing it consciously and you're serving yourself actively as a source, you can actually gain value from this. You can gain power from this. And conversely, if you're someone on the positive polarity, you can be aware of what's taking place. You can be conscious of it, and you can allow yourself as an observer to just understand what happens on our planet and why it exists and appreciate it for what it is, rather than getting stuck in the trap of feeling like you need to expose the evil and you need to fight against the evil, but rather just understanding what takes place and accepting it as a part of evolution, natural evolution. That is always the most effective path to take for someone on the positive polarity. And now you have more consciousness of what it's designed to do. And yes, you can give advice on how to avoid some of the traps of the matrix, but also be aware that sometimes people need to fall into those traps to better understand themselves and learn the lessons that they need to learn. That's why it exists in the first place. So that, once again, is my take on exactly what has taken place within the 2023 Grammys from Sam Smith's performance. And then I also realized that I came across some information that right after the performance, apparently there was a sponsor that said sponsored by Pfizer. Okay. And I'm not even going to go into an entire breakdown of what that represents, but if you get the gist, you get the gist. Okay. Worship of the negative polarity, then sponsored by Pfizer, getting that jab, put the pieces together. Have your own observation and think to yourself, I wonder what this is saying. I wonder what this means. All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this and you feel like this was a breakdown that you've never heard before, meaning you've never heard someone break down these performances from an actual occult, being an occultist perspective, and actually goes into explaining what they actually do, like what they're meant to do, what it's designed to do outside of just what the symbols mean. If you appreciate and you enjoy this type of content, go down and like the video. Okay. Also, feel free to comment and let me know that you enjoy this content, because I will continue to make more content like this. I love making videos like this, but clearly when people have a strong interest in these types of things, that's what really gets my attention to make more videos on this subject. Every now and then I come across one that I feel like on my own I'm going to make a video on. But once again, the reason why I'm making this video is because I've had at least 10 people ask me, hey, can you make a video on the Sam Smith performance in the Grammys and all this other stuff? So once again, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video, and if you have any other videos that you've come across that you want me to break down like this. If there's enough popular demand, I will absolutely make those videos. So start by letting me know in the comments. All right. Now come down here and hit the notification bell, because you don't want to get unnotified when I post this type of content. Trust me. Also, come down here and hit the subscribe button, because I post videos as often as I can, and clearly with content like this, you don't want to be missing out. But most importantly, you want to get the most value from what it is that I'm talking about. So by subscribing, you are further linking into the content, which means you're literally going to get more value. So subscribe. All right. Now I'm going to take your awareness to a private Facebook community. Okay. If you go down into the YouTube description and you scroll down, eventually you're going to come across a link that says private Facebook community. You can't miss it. Click that link, follow where it takes you, then you can request to join. And what you're going to find is a group of almost 700 members that are posting on a daily basis, tons of valuable information, tons of like-minded individuals in a similar place, which you can imagine brings to life a lot of wonderful relationships. If you want to be a part of this, you have the opportunity to follow that link to the private Facebook community. All right, we'll leave that there. Now, I'm going to take your awareness to literally the most important link within the entirety of the YouTube description. This is the first link at the very top. You cannot miss it. This is where you can join my Patreon, okay? On my Patreon, I have an entire vault of exclusive occult content. None of this content is on my public YouTube channel, and that is for many intentional reasons. At this point, everything that's on the Patreon is almost like a secondary YouTube channel, except the content is more valuable and more personal, more advanced, I want to say. Not necessarily more valuable, but more advanced. Definitely a lot of it is more valuable, but more advanced than what you're getting on my public channel, okay? As you move into tier 2 and up, you're gaining access to an entire magic training course, which I feel like would be extremely valuable, especially if you're a beginner occultist and you're looking for a structured format to follow to start developing your psychic capabilities. Then as you move into tier 3, this is giving you access to the most popular tier of the Patreon, and that alone speaks for itself. This is what's known as the Universe.B Vampire Service. So what this is an advanced ritual that I perform on the 29th of every single month that has one, and it's designed to completely transform the energetic structure and bodies of the participants, whether that's new participants or the reoccurring ones. And it's designed to completely change their energetic structures to be more so Universe.B dominant. So essentially what that means is more so negatively polarized, more service to self oriented. What this does is this gives these individuals an ability to exist within the dark energy areas and locations of the multiverse itself without inherently getting harmed by them, but rather developing knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and potential power from them instead. Okay? It also gives these individuals an ability to be more so receptive to their unconscious and subconscious minds, which is feminine in nature. And it gives them a psychic capability to pull an energy from dark energy and chaos in the environment around them to transmute into their own power and evolutionary potential. If any of these benefits sound interesting and important for you, something that you're drawn towards, definitely consider it. Once again, that's tier number 3 of the Patreon. Then as you move into tier number 4, this is the new top tier of the Patreon. This is a very new tier. And with this tier, you gain access to all the benefits from the previous tiers, including the vampire service, except you get some additions. You have psychic predictions every single month that I do using my tarot deck and my own personal oracle deck that I've created myself. And I give you this prediction early on in the month, somewhere between the 1st and the 5th, and it's designed to help you navigate the energies, the initiatory energies that you can expect going into that month. And as long as you are a top tier member, you get these predictions every single month. All right? So that's what that's for. And you also gain access to private live streams. Okay? So if you're someone that wants to take advantage of any of these benefits, definitely consider it. That would be tier number 4 of the Patreon. All right? With that being said, I want to give a special shout out to everyone specifically who is a Patreon member for taking your knowledge, your practices, and your studies to that other side. Big shout out to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now as you move into the second link below, you can't miss it. This is where you can book your own very unique tarot card reading from me. I promise this is a tarot card reading that you've never received before. And the reason why is because I understand the Kabbalistic tree way more than the average person. So what I can do is I can literally pinpoint you on that tree. I can tell you what you're feeling, experiencing, and going through in the present moment, and then what to expect moving into your near and your long-term future, all based on your positioning on that Kabbalistic tree. Okay? I don't know anyone else that does readings like this. I've done well over 950 readings at this point. I've been doing it for over a year. I do a reading every single day, and I receive tons of valuable feedback. And the prices will be going up in the very near future. So if you want to take advantage of this, now is the time. Second link below, go ahead and book. All right. Now also within that same second link below, you have an option to book a one-on-one call with me. So if you're someone who has your own personal questions connected to your own journey, which I'm sure a lot of you do, and you want to talk to somebody like myself to get my perspective on some of the things that you're going through or some of the things that you're experiencing and give you advice on moving forward, then I would highly recommend booking a one-on-one call, okay? Now, if you're someone who's taking your practice to really a deeper level, then I have mentorship options. These options are absolutely amazing for people that are getting into occult initiation, okay? I have mentorship that is 6 weeks. Then I have a mentorship that is 3 months. So if this is something you're interested in, definitely consider it. Second link below, click it, and then you can see all those different services that I offer, and you can read more about them. Okay? I'm going to wrap that up there. Now, as you move into the third link in the YouTube description, you can't miss it. This is where you can join and become a YouTube member. Okay? As you become a YouTube member, you're gaining access to a multitude of different benefits, but most importantly, you're gaining access to what I call the Psychic Warfare Emoji Program. So what this is this is a sequence of emojis that I've designed myself that are based on real occult principles, and you can use them in a specific configuration, link in the name of a target, hit enter, and it will actually cause psychic effects to the target of your choice. This is the most simple form of utilizing psychic warfare through the internet platform. There are over 2,000 posts where individuals have already used this. There are even people right now in this moment that are taking advantage of it. If this is something that you want to take advantage of for yourself, you can definitely do so. Third link below, you click that link, then you join, become a YouTube member, you'll have access. With that being said, this is exactly where I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate all of you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you all have an amazing rest of the day or night, wherever you are, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.